I was in a history of Licking County in Newark class last semester, and for the final project we had to choose a famous person from Newark. And Jerry's story was really inspiring because she's a woman and I'm a woman from a small town. And I kind of feel like both of our generations are kind of the moment of change. There's been gay rights movements during ours, equal rights like there were back then with women's rights. And nobody really thought that she could go out and do this great big thing, fly around the world. And I really thought it could help tie into the film because we're kind of showing that even with her dreams that were much bigger than Newark could supply, she still went out and did them. So when I contacted Jerry's sister, she was really excited that the youth had been particularly paying attention. And I just hope that even the younger generations can get inspiration from her and go out and do whatever they want in the world.
Jerry Mock was born November 22, 1925 in Newark, Ohio. She attended Newark High School and was the only woman in her high school engineering course. She graduated in 1943 and went on to attend The Ohio State University. From the beginning, Mock defied stereotypes. She did not conform to the expectations placed on women. She claimed to find them boring. Her interest in flying began when she was 7 years old when she had the opportunity to fly with her father. In 1964, Jerry Mock became the first woman to fly solo around the world. Her trip took a total of 29 days, lasting from March 19th to April 17th, 1964. Her trip included 21 stops over the span of 22,860 miles. On her journey, Mock faced many difficulties. She had to fly through storms and faced mechanical issues with her plane, the Spirit of Columbus, which was covered with cracks and erosions hidden by fresh paint. On her flight, Jerry set 7 records and was decorated with 21 awards and honors, including the Federal Aviation Agency Gold Medal for Exceptional Service. This was a big honor, especially for a woman in the 1960s. Even with all of the odds seemingly going against her, Mock continued to push through and succeed. She followed her dreams and never gave up. In many ways, Jerry Mock embodies Newark, Ohio. We are so much more than our stereotypes. Our successes aren't celebrated nearly as much as they deserve to be. Yet we still continue to follow our dreams and we still continue to succeed. Jerry's story is important because she inspires kids and people to just follow their dreams no matter how unreachable or crazy that they may seem.
When I first come to this country, yeah, 1849, I saw many young lovers, but never saw mine. I viewed it all around me and saw that I was quite alone.
I learned that, even people who don't look like they struggle have struggles, and that they always overcome them somehow, and that they aren't always alone. Someone's story that really stuck out to me was Sammy's. She came from a bad home life, and I know that for me personally, without my parents and my parents' support and influence, I definitely wouldn't be where I am. I definitely would not be the person I am. And so it makes me really proud of her that she realized what her life was and that it needed to change.
My family's had a long line of addiction, whether it was narcotics or just gateway drugs and stuff like that.
I remember there was a certain point in time that I had straight F's here at the Newark High School as a freshman.
I kind of just removed myself out of the situation because I knew it wasn't good for me.
I got into a program called AOS, which stands for Academic Opportunities for Success, and I met 2 coaches named Coach Black and Coach White.
AOS is Academic Opportunity for Success. It was to further assist students that had barriers that limited their personal growth and development for education and graduation.
They made me realize hey, these grades aren't going to get you anywhere. You need to go and you need to make relationships with your teachers.
I always realized that I had a job back in Newark, and that was to mentor youth and teens and family to change our community, change our environment.
I started going to my teachers and I was like, hey, what can I do about my grade? How can I improve myself? And they were so understanding, and they were like, this girl's serious, like she wants to get better, and they helped me a lot.
Only one of my siblings graduated high school, and I definitely want to be better than them because I don't want my kids to go through what I had to go through.
I ended up coming in as a sophomore, and I was like, this is my year, like I have to be serious.
My name is Samantha Gillespie, and I'm going to encourage others to be the best they can be. I feel like it's important for someone to be able to share their story openly so that they can feel like they're more accepted.
It can make them feel safe and understood.
It shows the importance of building relationships, which is something that I am very, very big on.
To know that I could make an impact in someone's life, it would really mean something to me.
I learned that every kid has a story, every person has a story, and everyone deserves a chance to tell their story.
A lot of the times people don't want to share their stories because they feel that it's making them vulnerable, but personally for me, I feel that it is quite the opposite, and I love telling people my story because I think it shows like my strength and where I've grown from, and I think it's important that people can see the inside of you and be able to be like, this person's real, like this person struggled and they made it through it.
The story that impacted me the most, I think, was Chris and Olivia's, because I think it took a lot of bravery to come out, and I think it's really inspiring that they had the guts to do it.
I feel like the coming out experience never really stops because you always get a lot of questions. I mean, everywhere you go, you're gonna get questions and like questioning eyes.
If you go to a public event and someone talks about like a high school dance, they always assume that you're going with like the opposite gender, and like that's totally fine with me. Like I'm not at all offended by that, but just having to explain to them and having to explain to multiple people like every single day, it is hard, but it's worth it because you're staying true to yourself.
And when you're coming out, it's kind of like you're taking off a mask or you're taking off a costume, and you're really letting everyone get to know who you really are. So yeah, that's a very overwhelming experience. The way that Newark has handled it, if you will, I think they just didn't make it as much of a big deal as we were expecting. If you speak, like, yeah. A lot of the time I catch myself worrying about it more than I should, because when I think about it, they're not worried about me being gay as much as they're worried about something else so much bigger happening in Newark. And I think that's really given me the chance to be kind of flexible in my own skin, and still, I'm only 16, my mind is still developing. I have time to figure myself out. And I mean, when I get dressed in the morning, I can feel comfortable going to school in, like, you know, boxers and a big hoodie, and then later that night being at my football game in my cheerleader outfit and bow.
It just really opens up a whole new world if you step away from those stereotypes.
When you think about cheerleader, what do you instantly think? You think, you know, preppy girl, you know, skirts, hair bow, painted nails, you know, the whole 9 yards, whatever. I'm a cheerleader. I want to play lacrosse. I am a tomboy, obviously. I don't wear dresses on the norm. I don't paint my nails. That's not me. And I'm not afraid to be myself and then show up at a game looking like a cheerleader, if that makes sense.
When you're holding all your stories and all your feelings and thoughts inside, you just kind of feel heavy and like you don't have a chance to breathe.
You never really know how your parents are going to react until you actually tell them what's going on. Like, I tell my mom literally everything. I thought that we should include my mom because I know she really works hard to make us proud of her.
Becoming a mother at a young age, I had to grow up really fast. I was 16 years old, but I had the mind of a 30-year-old woman. It was really hard to provide for my kids when I was in high school. At that age, you can't really get a good paying job, so they came first. I really wanted to just stay home with her. I didn't want to leave her. I was thinking about dropping out of high school, and I had to go to truancy court, and the judge told me if I didn't come back to school that he was going to take my baby. So I didn't miss a day after that.
And I just want you to know that I am very proud of you. So thank you for being there for me through everything.
You're welcome.
I love you.
I love you too. Currently in my life right now, I'm working as a phlebotomist at the hospital, and I graduate in July for nursing.
I know that I have someone there for me, like that I can tell anything to no matter what it is. You should always have a trusted adult that you can always tell something.
Film is an awesome venue for getting kids to be able to open up and search what's inside.
Well, at first a lot of the interviews sounded really scripted, and I think people got nervous because there was a camera in front of them.
There's people who know that you're filming them that want to say what they think that you want them to say.
A lot of those people have had difficult experiences here and have had many things that they would like to change about Newark as a community and as a school, and they just weren't sharing it.
I've grown up here, and I know a lot of people here, and Newark's just really important to me. I guess I didn't mention anything that was negative because the interview was more focused towards just the stigma around Newark, and I thought just because there was a camera in front of me, I should say the positive stuff. And so I never realized I could tell the truth and say, you know what, I really don't like this about Newark, and so I just didn't say it.
Making Newark sound perfect is just not going to be real, it'll be fake.
I know a lot of kids who go through struggles here at Newark, and there's no way for them to let out how they feel.
It's not always easy to show what really goes on day to day.
There's the other kids who don't take anything seriously about it.
It was really frustrating when other people wouldn't take it serious.
Cooperation amongst your classmates that you're trying to interview, I think that was the biggest challenge.
And the challenges from this class was teamwork.
That's probably the hardest part, is trying to come into a group and combining groups to try to work on a project.
Certainly in any group activity, there's that chemistry and dynamic that's amongst the group of students. Sometimes it gels, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes people are pushy, sometimes people don't feel like they can contribute, so they're quiet.
You know, I thought one of the big roadblocks we hit was with the I'm going signs.
The wall was my idea, and they say I'm going on it, and then you finish the sentence with whatever a goal is that you have.
My name is Davani Wilkerson, and I'm going to be famous.
I'm going to be an actress.
I'm going to be a psychologist.
I'm going to be an English teacher.
I am going to the Air Force National Guard and Forensic Labs of Science.
There's always kids that aren't going to cooperate and don't want to, participate, but I think that the people who did participate were helped by that, and that'll help them in the future more than the others.
From helping you conduct different interviews to helping with Boom to helping with just everything. You have to be able to communicate really well, because if you don't, then something's gonna go wrong. You have to be able to have opinions and still be able to work with other people's opinions if they're different.
Dissenting opinion is nothing other than opinion that's different than yours. Dissenting opinion is part of every one of our lives, every one of our careers, every one of our families. And so being able to deal with dissenting opinion, whether it's constructive or destructive, it's just a factor in all of our doings.
It's awesome that there's a bunch of people that like their school and have this pride for it, but I personally don't feel it. I can't say the whole state, but my personal experience of this state, it has not been the most positive.
Newark is a very accepting community. There are some negatives. There are many homophobic people, but there aren't as many homophobic people as there are people who are accepting. I feel a lot of people aren't open-minded enough to accept the whole LGBT community. Right now, the trans bathroom laws are a big deal, and people are protesting at our Target and Heath.
Open your mind up to things you do a documentary or something on a certain topic. You kind of can get an insight on how different people live their lives or different struggles that people go through and stuff like that.
Well, I think filmmaking can be useful in building relationships because it gives you an opportunity to speak out and talk about topics that you usually wouldn't.
We talked a lot about racism during the making of this film. Compared to some communities, we're light years ahead. Compared to others, we have a long way to go.
There's a serious thing with like Confederate flags here, like I don't get it. I'd love to say I completely don't care what people think, but I know like there are parts of me that do care what people think.
I think we're more diverse than we give ourselves credit for. I think a lot of people have different inspirations, different opinions, and we kind of conform to the social norm and we dumb ourselves down a little bit.
Until people kind of realize that like there's a fault in their idea, their concept, no one's gonna change.
All of us have been touched by addiction, by some sort of discrimination, by just having our feelings hurt. And I think America's having a problem with that right now too. It's running an election year and America's reaching out for someone to try to give voice to their frustration. And I think that's life.
We don't all have to think the same way, and I think people get anxiety about standing out or having something different to say. The fear of, like kind of the fear of the unknown, like they don't want to come out with what they have to say because they're afraid that other people might think differently.
We were a little afraid of the theme. We were a little afraid that we would just be another school doing a feel-good piece about their community, and we certainly have spun in some sub-stories that I think are amazing. But what an incredibly valuable experience, the hands-on, going through the red tape and the animosity and the inexperience with the equipment.
I came into this class not knowing a single thing about filmmaking at all. I didn't know how to start a camera. I didn't know how to switch lenses. I didn't know how to set up a monitor.
I didn't know much at all about filming anything really.
I've learned a lot about filmmaking.
It's not as easy as you think it is.
How to set up shots, how to light interviews, conduct interviews.
How to use a camera and bunch of B-roll stuff because I had no idea.
We ran into some red tape through the schools who are trying very hard to work with us. We made some mistakes. Good. I mean, it's a learning experience. If this happens again, we're that much more ahead of the game. And my personal philosophy to learning is making mistakes is part of what makes a winner, part of what makes a discovery, part of what makes a piece of art. You have to go through the process.
I like that it is creative, at the same time educational.
During like the first few weeks of this class, I kind of felt like, yeah, this is what I want to do, and I became really sure in my decision that film is a career I want to pursue. So my mom and I looked into some film workshops this summer, and there's one in New York from the New York Film Academy, and I'm gonna go.
I thought I knew that I wanted to be like a doctor or something, but now I don't really know because I might want to do something with film. So this opened a door.
I love poetry because you can take like the smallest objects or the smallest words and give them an abstract meaning or a journey or a story, and you can just incorporate the strange parts of your minds into simple words and dress them up with an adjective or something. That's really what makes the magic of the poem happen, and it just gets me excited to be able to write my own story in a way that people can take it and interpret it in different parts of their mind. And I think that with film, it also does that because instead of telling someone the story, you can show it to them. They can take it into whatever way their eyes want to perceive it.
Film is more abstract. It's more of an art form. It's not one of your typical core classes. It's more creativity and being able to show more of your personality and yourself in it.
When I write, I feel like I have kind of like an alter ego, like it's not me writing, it's someone else, it's something in the back of my mind, because when I write, I'm taking all my little thoughts from the back of my mind and bringing in kind of bigger problems and bigger relations, and it's comprehending the same thing just in a different part of your mind. So you can see it, the black and white version, but there's always like a gray area where anything can fit into that gray area and make it something so much more, I don't know, interesting, creative, something to hold on to, something that you just want to be like, oh my gosh, like yes, inspiring, like I want to do that now. I kind of had to take it to like the root of the school, I had to pay closer attention and really think to myself about what I loved about the school and what I really wanted to get across. This has motivated me and kind of helped me realize that no matter what I want to do, I mean, I can make it happen for myself.
Different strokes versus desperate measures, renovations mistaken for abominations, a story that won't stop breathing.
This town's character will stick with you like the gum on the heel of your shoe, leaving our residue anywhere that gets the chance to feel our presence. A name that has been dug through dirt and a town that blossomed through the crack of the sidewalk, a story that won't stop breathing as long as there are people like us stretching its hands. Yes, maybe a place where vulnerability could be mistaken for weakness, but doesn't that make our skin thicker, and doesn't that make our tears that much more sacred? Sacred, this town is to me. We strung our dreams across the courthouse, and that's why during the seasons of miracles, it shines so bright. Holy grail of dreams, the soil we walk on will always break our fall. A home for teachers and learners, spirituality and acceptance, rich and poor. A home of lessons. A home where bridges will burn just to be built again to bring us closer together. A home for laughs and love with walls laced with tears and blood. A home for dreamers and succeeders. Isn't our cracked lips and dirty knees our battlefield? Let the name Newark ring, and let the name Newark ring like the victory bell. Newark, a home for me. An airport for believers, and we've all boarded the plane, so just take 5 seconds and notice us. You aren't good enough. 4, no one makes it out of Newark. 3, a town of maybes, what-ifs, and could-have-beens. 2, it's so much easier to sell yourself short. 1, it's time to take off. Where will you go next?
Everyone who ever had their stereotypes about Newark, I hope that this shows them that that's not real anymore.
Sometimes if you share your ideas and like your goals, people will help you, and you know they're easier to come true.
We are going places and we do great things, and we are really smart people.
And we can do more than what we are originally thought of being capable of.
We're bringing up the good side of Newark. It's like, there are bad parts of Newark, like, there's a lot of bad parts of other places too, but we're trying to show the good.
It's just taught me a lot about life and that everything probably work out even when something goes wrong, like if you break a tripod.
I just really hope that this film inspires people to maybe take more pride in Newark as a community and as a city and as a school.
We have each other's backs, and we're a community, and we love each other.
If you look at most romantic comedies, there's some sort of, happy ending, right off into the sunset, good feeling. And I think that we are taking an honest look at ourselves, and we have that happy ending, good feeling about Newark being who they are, and unashamedly good and bad, but mostly good. I mean, we have some fantastic kids. The kids that are working on this project are amazing, but they're individuals and they don't all think alike. And this documentary filmmaking process is one of the few places where you can all agree to disagree and still have it in a meaningful conclusion. The writing process for any media is confusion, and coming out of that confusion with some sort of clarity. I consider it immensely successful. But when I start breaking down the parts of our successes, I would say it's even more so. I think we've had resolution among the kids. I think we've reached into some of them and had them express something that they really don't have the venue for. If someone asks me, why do you think documentary filmmaking is a good venue for learning, it's because it gives the kid a voice. They're not just answering a question in a class. They're not just sitting around a lunch table expressing their opinions to their friends. They are, in fact, creating problems and solutions as we move. And they're using that disparity to make their point better or to change opinions to something that is better.